Hey there. So I decided to make a video about my setup because I'm assuming that you asked for user feedback, and I figured you wanted something more than what you're going to find online. So this is why I'm doing this. And anyway, sorry. It's not like I have a presentation in my head set up, so bear with me. So I have two generators. They're both from Spooky2. And yes, it has a little ghost on it and it freaks people out. But the Spooky2 name comes from a quote from Einstein where he says that the quantum physics or the quantum entanglement or anything to do with quantum stuff was spooky action at a distance. So they got the name from that. But this is their older generator. And it comes, if you come with just this particular kit, it is this blue generator, this part which is called the boost, and this part right here which is the remote, along with the power cord and USB cord, and that runs you about $160. You can get more stuff added on and obviously it'd be more expensive, but for the absolute what do you need to get started, it would be one of these. So for $160 you can get started. I have their newer generator, and it is a 2-in-1 generator, so it is one box but two remotes, and they run independently of each other. So you can be running different people, different programs on each of those. This here it comes like in a whole little soft case box with like all these bells and whistles, and it's like $900. So it is much more expensive, and sorry. But if you wanted just like what you're seeing here, is still going to run you $600. Now, if you're wondering why do I have both, why, what is the difference? This one here, so there's two big differences. This gray one, which is called the Gen X generator, can reach higher frequencies than the blue ones. The blue ones can run the same quote unquote frequencies, but they do it at lower octaves. And this is when I wish I had paid attention in physics class and, so I'm relearning physics all over again. But so this can get up to higher frequencies and not having to be downgraded, I guess you could say, by doing the lower octaves. This also, the gray one both of them can do biofeedback. So you can hook yourself up and do a biofeedback scan. This one here, though, it takes longer. It takes like 30 minutes to do a biofeedback scan, and you have to be still. You have to lay still. You can't listen to music. You can't watch a program. You have to just lay there. And it takes 30 minutes. This one, you can move. Like you can't like do exercise, but you can move around, sit up, you can be reading, you can do whatever you want, and it only takes 6 to 12 minutes. The biofeedback does work differently. Like this one is detecting the difference in your heart rate with each frequency that they're pulsing through you. And this one here, I don't remember. It's a little too complicated for me. I just know it works, but it doesn't do heart rate. And it's something about like the signal it gets back from your body. I don't know. Like I said, I wish I paid attention in physics class. Anyways, this year, these remotes are exactly for what it's for, is for remote treatment. So inside are these little, I call them tacos, and I don't know why my phone refuses to, there we go. It's one of my daughter's names on there. They come with a sheet of these white stickers, actually multiple sheets. You can see them down there. And you put your nail clipping. Okay, you can also do a hair clipping, like we've done cats. We've treated our cats before, and we put some other tufts of hair and the stickers. Certain elements, like hair, only last you can only use it for about 2 to 3 days, whereas fingernails are good. Some people say only for a month. Others are saying they've used the same fingernail clipping for 5 years and it still works. So it obviously is up for debate and how, nail clippings, obviously you're going to be able to grow new nail clippings, and it just makes sense to have a fresh sample in there. But you clip this little clamshell, you open it up and put it in that white box. And I already tried to put my phone down to do this two-handed and it doesn't work. So I can't do that. But anyways, you put it in there and it's running. It usually has an LED light that comes on, these are actually running right now, but because of the higher frequencies, you don't even see the LED blinking. So it's just, some people get confused about that because they're like, I thought that there's supposed to be an LED light and there's not. What's going on? It doesn't always come on. Anyways, so even though if you find other machines that are lower cost, what usually is happening, at least what I've heard from others and what I found myself, is that the machine might be cheap, but then you have to pay a monthly fee to use their software that runs this, whereas Spooky2 software is free. And so I have a laptop. Most people devote a whole entire laptop just to do Spooky. That way you're not stopping your programs, by accident or whatever. And so I'm going to give you a little tour of what's available. And obviously I don't use all of it, or I don't even pretend to know how all of it works. But for the bare minimum, if you go to get a generator, you want to read their user manual before you ever get in your machine. Read it a couple times. It will familiarize yourself with the names of things, what things look like. They have pictures in it, because we've had a lot of new users, especially since COVID. I mean, a lot of new users. And everybody before COVID, we all did what was suggested, which is read the user manual before you get it. Follow the videos online. They have a ton of videos online, and I can link you to their YouTube channel. And I understand that for some people, too many videos are overwhelming, but with YouTube, you can type in Spooky2 setup generator, Spooky2 how to run biofeedback scan. You could type it in and it goes through literally all their videos, start from the beginning of hooking up the components you're going to use through pushing which buttons and stuff like that. So I'm not sure exactly, unless somebody actually came into these people's houses, what they're expecting, because they're like, this is too complicated, I can't do it, this is stupid, and they get all flustered. And like I said, don't get me wrong, it can be overwhelming, because none of us grew up with this. No, it's not even mainstream in any way, shape, or form. So I understand that it would be confusing. But anyways, here on the very first tab, you see up here, and I'm sorry, probably can't see everything, but presets. Very first page, and you can do your biofeedback scan. Here is the COVID-19 stuff, and this is where, when I clicked on it, I'm going to be using remote, because you can do contact mode. There's plasma tubes, there's plasma, and I don't remember what the other one's called, but they're wicked expensive, thousands of dollars. But those are for people who have cancer and don't have anything left to try. So there's all these different ones that you can detox from, the different, the Moderna shot, the AstraZeneca shot, the Pfizer shot. Okay, there's a spike protein sweep. I'm running right here. I don't know, I'm not sure if I can get this. You can read how well this is going to show up, but I'm doing the graphene oxide remove. Okay, so in which case you just click on that. And I'm not going to do it, but you would click on that and come over to your control panel right there. You click on control panel, and all this is, like I said, it's really online, but you click your overwrite generator, because you have to make sure if you had something on your generator from before, you want to make sure you're not using two programs. So you do that, and then you click on which generator you want. And again, you see 4 boxes, because I have 4 generators. And up here you see graphene oxide remove. And this is the frequency it's playing. And it tells you what the estimated runtime is. So it's a 5-minute program, sorry. And I've been running it for 23 hours. But anyways, let's go back to the presets tab. Okay, sorry. All right, and hit the little house button and it takes you back. Okay, so there's cancer protocols. This is really cool, the DH experimental frequencies. I've been loving playing with these. I'll explain more later. DNA frequencies, detox. There's environmental, so you can go to environmental here, and you have it. You got burn mites, dust mites, fleas, okay, mold, household insects. So I have a few years ago, we had this infestation of ants, like our whole community did. We don't know what happened. We've been in our house for 16 years and never had anything like it. we were just invaded with ants, and it didn't matter like seemingly how well we cleaned or whatever, they just kept coming in. So I took one of the ants, I think I took like 3 different ants from 3 different locations in the house, and I killed them. I put them on, you know, the tape, the white little sticker tapes, put them in my remotes, and then you run the household insects. And basically what it does is it's putting frequencies out to, because ants are very similar, like when they have very, 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 very similar DNA because their DNA is simplified, unlike humans. And so the idea is if you can hit one ant, you can hit like most of the ants in the colony. So this somehow disrupts their digestive systems, and then they die. Well, within 3 days, a huge reduction, massive reduction in the amount of ants coming into our house. So what I did is I gathered up another 3 ants from the different locations, put those in there, ran it again, and literally within a week, we did not have ants all over our house. Now, I'm not one to go around just killing things, but like I said, this was very, like we've had some ants come in the house, you know, they're looking for something. Oh shoot, make sure to clean up that spill, and like you're done. Like that's it. But this was like beyond normal. This was an ant invasion. Okay, so come back here. There are, let's see. Oop, I did not mean to do that. Anyways, in miscellaneous, you've got Bach flowers. There's a colloidal silver generator. And I have that. So I have some of it. Let me show you those now. I don't have the colloidal silver set up right now, like set up, but you can make your own colloidal silver. I have a PMF coil. You can use this to imprint water. You can put this over, like some people use this for like arthritis and stuff, over particular joints. You can use contact mode. So what you see here is remote, where it can, like, it doesn't matter how far you are. You could be in the next state, you can be on the other side of the United States. It doesn't matter. These frequencies find you. They use DNA in your nail clipping as an antenna to find you. I know that's spooky in itself. This, I don't have it set up, but it has there's an alligator clip that goes here, and then there's wires that look kind of like this, because this is, I know, I'm so organized. This is the TENS pads. You can also do contact with TENS pads, and you use the TENS pads when you're using the biofeedback on the gray generator. But anyways, you have alligator clips. You clip it on here, and contact mode is stronger than a remote. It's like 3 times stronger. But obviously, if you got 10 people in your house, or if a family member you're trying to treat lives in the next state, they're not doing contact. So, but we have used this, for example, when my son, we all gotten sick with a cough, and his just kept going and going, and then he was getting better. I'm like, oh, thankfully, he's always had issues with coughs. But then within days, I'll say, I don't know if it got something different, but it came back, and I was about to take him to the doctor because, you know, he already had days of fever. It broke, and then now he's getting a fever again. And I'm like, oh gosh, I'm gonna have to take him to the doctor's. And, you know, but it's just that night, because, you know, they always get worse at night. And by the next morning, when he woke up, he had this distinct cough, because before it was just like, I don't know, like cough, cough, cough. This was like the barking cough, and I was like, oh, that sounds like bronchitis. Like the first word that came to my head was bronchitis. So I'll show you what I would have done. I would have gone here to my little house button. That didn't work. Go to my house button, and you go down to the shell empty presets. This is where most people use for Spooky4. Hit on that, and for him I did contact. Hit contact, and I needed to kill. Okay, there's essential oil settings, there is the golden ratio settings, there's healing settings, molecular weight, emulate or remove. This is where you can emulate a drug. It could be anything. There's a whole list of types of different drugs and supplements like vitamin C, zinc, just all sorts of stuff. I just made, for the emulate one, I just made some for ivermectin, for, you know, COVID, and then for remove. So let's just say you have something in you and you don't want it in you, and you would hit that. Okay. So anyways, I hit killing because you want to kill the germs with bronchitis. I hit that. So that's all. You've now set up all the settings. This is why it's called a preset. It presets the settings for you where you don't have to go in and be a physicist to figure out which wavelength and all that other jazz. I'll show you that tab in a second. But you go to your programs, next tab here, programs, hit programs. So you can see I typed in graphene because that's my last thing I was doing. All right, and I said bronchitis. So you type in bronchitis, hit enter, and you're gonna have anything that has to do with bronchitis. I remember for him, I chose the bronchitis secondary because this was a secondary infection. And then I just clicked a few of these other ones. Over here, it tells you how long that program runs for. This one is only 9 minutes. This one's 42 minutes. One is 69. Okay, you click your programs, double click them, and they go into your little programs box. And maybe I want to do the secondary. Okay, you hit a few programs, and then go to the settings tab. And like I said, this is where you need to be a physicist because it's got this, the output in and out and the wave here, and these are the different waves available. And this is why I use the presets, because there are people who make their own programs, and they're on the there's a Facebook group for Spooky2 users, and users are allowed to make and share their programs, and you can upload them to the Spooky and use them. And I mean, it's amazing because people have found like a great program for sleep, and they put it together, and now it's on the actual, because so many people used it. Spooky, I think, updates their software every like 3 times a year, and so because so many people are using it, it's actually one of the settings under the presets, because so many people use the sleeping settings. All right, so then you would go, like I said, to your control. You hit your overwrite generators, and let's just use generator 10. And there it is, killing bronchitis, bronchitis secondary, and then you just hit start. And then it says it's loading, and this is my generator 10, and you should see lights come up on here in just a second. There it is. See? And it's running. I don't have anybody in there, so it's not running for anybody, but it's running. Okay. I'm gonna push stop. All right, so I'm gonna go back to, if you saw my post further down, somebody asking about my Spooky, and I said that I have made stickers. So Spooky's been a lot of fun. So the DH frequencies, you can imprint. Mostly people do it with stickers. Here they are. These are, like, I buy a roll of 1,000 for like $8 on Amazon. They're holographic stickers. People have imprinted water, crystals, copper, and things like that. You can use just the regular Spooky programs or what is called the DH experimental frequencies, which are, they're frequencies, but they're used in a different way. And it's really kind of hard to explain, but, well, hard for me to explain. But anyways, so you have to go, if you use the DH frequencies, you have to go through a series of at least 8 frequencies that you have to run. It's getting your whole entire like aura. There might be holes in it. You might have a weak aura. You might have just, it just sets your body up for any of the other frequencies that you use. So once you do that, there's a whole bunch of neat ones. There's like this one here, physical well-being. Again, I don't know why my phone won't. Physical well-being. Eliminate parasites and worms. Remove heavy metals. Detox EMF. I've made some Schumann, which is the frequency of the earth. Which one is this? Biofilms. I mean, I just got, and this is just a baggie of what I'd labeled as miscellaneous and detox. But I mean, there's, I don't know, I think I've printed out 200 types of frequencies. There's a weight loss one. Here's the DH sleep one. There's one for eye wrinkles. I mean, there's all sorts of neat ones. But Anyway, so what you do is you put the sticker, like I said, mine I use on this roll, and you put the sticker in the remote, run whatever programs you want, run it for a long time, and then you take it out, and I write here, you got to keep them, they're in tin foil so they're not erased, because they can get erased from sun, from strong magnets. This in itself is a strong magnet, and so you have to actually take the stickers out before the program stops. And you can make it so the program doesn't stop and you just take it out whenever you want. But if the program stops and your sticker's in there for a while and you get home and you're like, oh shoot, my sticker, your sticker's erased. But anyway, so I keep some of these because I haven't written on the backs of all of them yet. I'm doing this for a bunch of friends and stuff, so I'm making multiple stickers at once. So in this case, I made one for chaga mushrooms. And I made a whole bunch of stickers, like I said, because I got friends and family. So I need to write down chaga mushroom on the rest of them, wrap them up in tin foil, put what it is on the outside, and I'm going to send it to them. But with these, depending on which one, like I have one for superfoods that I made, one for vitamins, minerals. You can put it, well, let's see, I don't have the little, there's hard discs. The reason why these are thicker is there's a round, here they are. They're just little white cardboard game chips that I got, and I put the sticker on top of it to make it more secure. But because I was making literally over 1,000 stickers, it was going to be like $200 something for all the backings. I'm like, I don't have money for that. So you can get coin holders, plastic coin holders, and you just put the sticker in there so it's not, bent, warped and stuff, and you just put it in your pocket. Or you take the sticker, again, you want it somehow protected. You can put it under a glass of water, and like for overnight, just leave your water out on the counter with the sticker underneath, and it imprints your water. You can also use TENS pads, put it on a mason jar or whatever, glass jar you have of water, and run the program that way and imprint your water that way. Here you see a bunch of MP3 players, and the reason why is DH, which stands for David Holliday, which is the guy who came up with these frequencies, has his own website, and he has audio files, and we have these, and you just have this on your person. You don't actually listen to it. You just play the frequencies. You don't even have to hear them, and they work, and they really do. It's absolutely freaky crazy. And we've done where we imprint water, put it in little bottles. We spray, because your belly button is supposed to be like this, has all these nerves or something endings that like uptakes things. So we will spray our belly buttons, our faces with it. I have little plastic tubs to do foot soaks with our imprinted water. And yes, it does work, because we started, I think it was the physical well-being. There's a physical wellness, or the physical well-being, and then there's a physical detox. And it's in here as well somewhere. But we were doing MTHFR, physical well-being, physical detox, emotional detox, and I think one of the physical ones had like it was two different. It was so big, the file was so big, you had two separate files. So that was basically, I did one file a day for each of those. And as soon as we did the physical well-being, my kids came to me. They're like, "There's something wrong with me, Mom. I keep going to the bathroom. I keep having to poop." And I'm like, oh gosh. So it really does stimulate things. The emotion, I think I'm guessing it's the emotional one, where the day after we would use it for the first few weeks, the first time I was, like just, I wouldn't say emotional, like crying, but definitely was, way off. Like, what is wrong with me? Why do I feel this way? And the next day I was fine. I'm like, that's really weird. And then the following week, again, it was the exact same day, because we were doing like MTHFR on Monday, the emotional wellness on a Tuesday, and the exact same day the following week. But instead of 12 hours, it lasted for about 6 hours, where I had this absolute feeling like I wanted to come out of my skin. Everything was wrong in my mind. And then next day I was fine. And I'm like, wait a minute. And the following week, again, it happened, but it was only for 3 hours. So they are doing something. The DH ones, most of these are DH ones, are very slow to act though. So it's not something like you're gonna put this in your pocket once and you're like, oh, I'm all better. But I have made a sticker. It was not DH. It was just a regular Spooky for my daughter. She came to me. So she came over because she lives on her own now, and she has a wrist, what do you call it? Wrist support on her wrist. I was like, what in the world did you do? She's like, oh, because she's a dog groomer. She's like, I don't know. I think I have like carpal tunnel or something. Like, it's just so painful. I don't even know if I'm going to keep grooming dogs. And I was like, whoa, wait a minute. Like, what? So I made her a sticker for carpal tunnel, and I told her to put it in the wrist support. And I had dropped something off to her the following day, and she doesn't have the wrist support on. And I said, oh, is your wrist better? She's like, oh yeah. She's like, after a few hours, the pain was gone. But then she's like, but then it started coming back. I'm like, well, that's weird. I said, did you still have the sticker on you? She's like, well, no, I have to take off the wrist support when I'm actually, grooming the dogs. And I said, oh, okay. So I told her, I made her another one, and I said, you need to put it, keep it in your pocket at work. And she only did that for about 5 days. And from the time she put it in her pocket until since now, and it's been months, she's been pain-free. The only issue, okay, sorry, I had to pause that there. I don't remember where I left off, but I will say this is the last thing. I know this video is very long, but I was hoping that you could see what this does and what options you have and stuff like that. But the one thing about this is that if you don't know what you have, you're not going to be able to treat yourself. Okay, and I'll give you an example. So one of my daughters was prone to UTIs. Like, I've had a couple other daughters who had UTI. You can get on here, you can type in UTI in the software, you get a bunch of programs, and with my other daughters, you run it and they're good to go. With this other daughter though, her infections came on fast, furious, and she every single time would end up having to go get antibiotics because my programs didn't work. Now, that does not mean Spooky does not work. It does work, but you have to have the right frequencies. So I was reading recently in a book about these types of bladder infections that come on fast and furious and stuff. And it says that those are usually caused by strep, which of course strep was not something that would run through my mind if you're talking about a bladder infection. And as luck would have it, I don't know what you want to call it, but literally a week after of reading that, the same daughter comes down with one of those infections. And so I put her fingernail in here. She was getting ready for bed. She didn't even have time to do a contact session because, like I said, contact works faster. And I ran strep frequencies, and she woke up completely symptom free. So, and you do have to run it like, if you're doing a killing program, you do have to run it for 7 to 10 days. Kind of think of an antibiotic. If you run it for too short, the germs could get used to the frequencies and outscape them. And so you don't want to let that happen. But she did not have to get antibiotics. So if you don't know what you have, you won't know which is why people also run biofeedback. The issue with biofeedback is, let's just pretend you have a sinus infection, and there's plenty of programs that say sinus infection, but let's just, for sake of pretending, and you run biofeedback, and it will tell you the results, but the results are what those frequencies have been used for. So it will say like bird flu or some weird stuff, and that does not mean you actually have that stuff. It just means that particular frequency is stressing your body. Now, what your body is finding stressful may not be what you personally is thinking is stressful. Like, this sinus infection is my issue here, and I really want to get rid of it. And it, you run your Spooky with the biofeedback thinking it's going to hit it, and then it doesn't do anything to your sinus infection. And that's because your body was stressed by these. I think the biofeedback does 10 to 20 frequencies, the top 10, 20 that are your body's most stressed over. And so it's killing off something that your body sees a need for, but you might not have seen the need for. Like, you really want to address the sinus infection. So biofeedback, people get confused because they think like you just run it and it's going to take care of whatever is ailing you at the moment. And it might. We have had that happen. A couple of my girls got so sick, like massive flu sick, And I was running Flu, running all these programs, nothing was working. And I thought, let me do a biofeedback. And sure enough, I ran biofeedback, and within 3 hours, they were fever free. They were fine. It was like, it worked. However, a couple of my other daughters ended up coming down with the same thing like a week later, and I ran a biofeedback on them, and it did nothing. Again, it's not that it's not doing anything. It's just that their particular bodies did not think that the flu was the worst thing for them at the time. So that there are limitations to these devices. So just so you know that there's those limitations. And I'm sorry this is so long, but hopefully it's helpful for you to make a decision about a Rife generator.